T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus for minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
It's a definite how about that. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome, everybody, to the RP Show. You know what it means when it's a Wednesday? It means that it's RP Solo in hour one. So if you're watching, streaming, listening, wherever you may be, now is the time. I'm inviting all the comments. Western Dodge text line 902-518-3033. The YouTube streaming chat. Yeah, we're on Game Plus streaming. We're on WQVZ. And, of course, there's podcast form. You're listening to it later. Very excited for our guest today coming up in hour two when we go to air across Nevada. It's not just because Geroy Simon is a Canadian Football Hall of Famer from Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and Grey Cup champion, but he is the general manager of the Maryland Terrapins. Big-time college football. Longtime friend of mine, Geroy Simon, a CFL icon, and he's sitting down there in Maryland. He's going to be joining us coming up live at 1:15 Eastern. And so get your questions ready. We could go down memory lane with Geroy, but more than anything, because you know I love my football, I really want to dig into this role now because it's a new role and not totally new. Guys have been general managers of college football teams for years now, 3, 4, 5 years, but I don't know really what they do. So get ready for that. Geroy Simon coming up in hour two. And as I mentioned, we are solo. Where do we start? I mean, I could sit here. I had two potential big stories to open the show with here in the warm-up, brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel and Neil Chark out of Vancouver and all across Western Canada. But we got breaking news. That's the biggest story here right now. It comes out of Detroit. And, of course, it's a convoluted, odd wording of the story. Basically, all you need to know is that Steve Yzerman is out as general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. That has usurped everything else I wanted to talk about. MLB All-Star Game. The NHL home openers were announced this morning. No, Mike Ilitch, the owner of the Red Wings, if he's still alive, either way, the Ilitch family has made the decision to really strip Steve Yzerman's duties away as general manager of the Red Wings. They're moving him up a role to be a senior advisor in the Detroit organization. But more than anything, the Red Wings are looking for a new general manager. That came down today. Now, the comments are coming in, and I said, keep them coming. Keep them coming. Utah Darren writes, it's Melfort Darren writes, and he says, All-Star Game was great. I'm going to get to that. That was what I was going to talk about right off the hop. BW at Edmonton chimes in. He says, what is going on in Detroit with the Red Wings? Strange time for changes. I would say to that, right? The very last game they've played, the last time the Red Wings were on the ice was the final game of the regular season when they missed the playoffs at Sunrise. And the Panthers missed the playoffs too. But that night it was either 8-0 or 8-1. I want to say 8-0. I was in attendance. Todd McClellan, would I say he's a friend of mine or not, the head coach of the Red Wings? I've known him for 30-plus years. We're not close friends, but I know him. I've never seen a team quit like I did that night, the Detroit Red Wings. Quite frankly, if I was going to make a coaching change, which clearly they're going to now, they already made a general manager change, I would have made the change before they got on the bus. That's what I would do if I own a team, not go through all of this Dylan Larkin mess, go through the draft. If you just knew that you were going to fire Steve Yzerman anyways, why would you do it now? BW from Edmonton makes a really good point. And what that tells me is something happened. Something happened. And so, anyways, hey, this opening segment goes real fast. That's the big news today. Detroit moving Steve Yzerman out of the general manager role, elevating him to a senior advisor position, and now they're looking for a general manager, which very odd time to do it. Anyways, back on point. That's the breaking news. Point one, Melfort, Darren was reading my diary. Dylan Cease started a parade of pitchers that shut down a slew of baseball's best batters in a display of the pitching dominance that rules the sport of baseball. Cease struck out the side in the first inning, combining with 10 relievers on a three-hitter that led the American League over the National 4-0 in Tuesday night's All-Star Game in Philadelphia. I got more, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to read it because this is delicious for a lot of our demographic, and that we skew to the older viewer. Dylan Cease fan Kyle Schwarber, Juan Soto, and C.J. Abrams around a walk in the first inning when he got 6 misses among 15 swings. He became just the 7th pitcher to strike out 3 in an All-Star opening inning after Carl Hubble, Warren Spahn, Jim Palmer, Dave Stieb, Pedro Martinez, and Brad Penny. 4 of them Hall of Famers. So just the name Jim Palmer has me getting warm inside of the baseball cards I had of Palmer as a Baltimore Oriole. Remember the underwear ads? The underwear ads with Jim Palmer? That's all that I'm bringing it up. That was my opening story, was the All-Star Game, and sadly I was unable to watch an inning of it because I was calling baseball myself, and I know that we're getting up. Well, we got a couple minutes left here in this segment. I was calling baseball last night. Our Moose Jaw Millers destroyed the Fort McMurray Giants last night, 18-3, and something happened. 2 things happened last night at Ross Wells Park that I hadn't had happen before. The last was at the end of the 8th inning, the announcer, James Gallo, came on the speakers and said, okay, well, that's the game, everybody. Go home, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7:05. Giants and Millers will do it. I'm broadcasting the game. What? The coach of the Fort McMurray just tapped out and said, we're done. We're down 15 runs going to the 9th. We're not going to win this thing. We're done. We didn't even know the mercy rule existed, and it's a verb. It's a verb. Did you know that? Corey Shatta, our scorekeeper, goes, the Millers mercied him. It's over. Good. I can go home. And before the game, a guy came up to the press box, bigger guy. He goes, Pete from Arizona, sticks his hand out. I'm like, oh, he must be related to one of the players on one of the teams. He goes, I'm making a trip. This is my 528th ballpark I've been to, pro or college. Ross Wells Park in Moose Jaw, and I love it. Pete from Arizona. I said, well, let's stop and get a picture. And he said there's only one team in the WCBL's park that he's not going to. Do you want to guess which one it is? That'll be a fun thing for you guys to marinate and think on in the break. What's the one park that Pete from Arizona isn't going to this summer across the Western Canadian Baseball League? But anyways, he was enthralled with the park and the poplars we have around the outfield. They got to be at least 4 stories, maybe 5 stories long. Or tall. So that was a first. 2 things happened last night that were real cool. How are we doing on time, producer Corey? What do we got going on here? I feel like we're inside a minute before we break. I can't hear you if you're talking to me. Yeah. What are we at? What are we at for time? Okay. So when we come back, we'll get to more of your comments. So Steve Yzerman out as general manager of the Detroit Red Wings today. That's the breaking news. The NHL home openers were announced this morning by the National Hockey League. MLB All-Star Game and a whole lot of CFL Week 7. Got some news there. A lot to get to when we come back. 902-518-3033. That's the text line for Western Dodge. And also the YouTube chat. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lady Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show, and we're glad to have you aboard. This is the warm-up. It's brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel, and I might as well take the time right now as we are about to jump into CFL talk that, listen, on the coldest day of the winter, you're going to be wishing you were on this CFL Players Association fan cruise hosted by Uniglobe Carefree Travel and Neil Chark with CFL greats Adam Bighill, Willie Jefferson, Jake Serezna. It's a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale. Give their social media accounts a follow. They'll show you what ports they're stopping in. $18.99 is what the prices start at. Cruise only. Again, it's Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca is the way to get your information and be part of that wonderful cruise. Kevin the Medium's going to be on it. I can't at this point say whether I'm going to be on it or not. I have a million people asking. I don't know literally what I'm doing this afternoon. I'm not going to speak for February. Wish I could. Before we jump into that CFL stuff, good morning, says Kevin the Medium. Speak of the devil. He's going to be with us on Thursday in this time slot. So the breaking news, for those that just joined, Steve Yzerman out as general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. We talked about the American League beating the National League 4-0 in the All-Star Game last night. That's at least 2, maybe 3 topics already. And I mentioned that the gentleman, Pete from Arizona, came up to the press box last night, introduced himself to me. I don't know how they just find me. I guess because I'm in the press box. He wasn't looking for me specifically. He's like, hey, I'm Pete from Arizona. I'm traveling across the country, going to 528 ballparks in my life. This is 528. He's not going to Fort McMurray. It's not Energy City, but good guess, BW. He's not going to Fort McMurray because it's too far out of the way. Scott in Vancouver says ESPN is using the term step down in relation to Yzerman. Of course they are. I stepped down as voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I was fired. Stevie Y was fired. And as we're sitting here right now, something's rotten in Detroit. And if you put a gun to Steve Yzerman's head, he might tell you what it is. Something's rotten there, and it's not Stevie Y. The guy that could tell you is Ken Holland, but he's not that kind of guy. For instance, Ken Holland won 4 Stanley Cups in Detroit, gets lit on fire, sent out of town. Everybody dumps on him, says he only won the cups because there was no salary cap. They actually did win a cup with a salary cap, whatever. Nobody gets any credit for anything. Goes up to Edmonton, gets the Oilers to 2 Stanley Cup finals, leaves because he doesn't like the owner. It happens. And now he's down in L.A., moving on to his next thing. He could tell you what's rotten in Detroit. Nobody's bothered to ask. Anyways, that's what's going on here today. 902-518-3033. Wayne has checked in from Victoria, BC, and says, happy hump day, Rod and squad. Oh, perfect timing. Kirk in Toronto shows up right when I wanted to segue over to CFL. He says, with all the talk about empty CFL stadiums, in Miami, there was nobody at a recent Marlins game. The place was a tomb. Well, here's what I'll say about that, brother. I went to a few Marlins games before I left Florida to come back up here this summer. Number one, their owners have more money than God. They don't care, and nobody really minds that the Marlins don't draw anybody. For us, we go. We can park right next door, pay just $20. Me and my buddy Chris from the Bronx, we go to 1 game a month. We love that we can have a whole section to ourselves. There's no concession lines. So if you want to say, it's called whataboutism. Yeah, we're not selling tickets, but what about them? They're not worried in Miami, and maybe they're not worried in the CFL. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that you frankly brought that up. And let's go to the CFL point. It's like 0.4 or 5. Edmonton Elks running back Justin Rankin, Montreal Alouettes receiver Tyson Philpott, and Winnipeg Blue Bombers quarterback Drew Brown have been named the CFL's top players for Week 6. Rankin earned top honors after he rushed for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns and added a receiving touchdown in a 40-17 win over Ottawa on Thursday. He has now rushed for over 100 yards in 4 of 5 games this season. We're going to get to the poll question here right away. But if there's one thing I know this from being around the game a little bit and the league a little bit, there's 2 things the CFL fans love to talk about the most: expansion and attendance, in no particular order. I caught a clip of the podcast CFL Outriders the other day. Outriders or Outsiders, whatever. It came up on my feed. And it was an old man and a young gal. She'd have probably been in her 20s. And she wanted to talk about attendance or what I just said. They like to talk. And the older guy goes, it's your generation. You guys just want to talk about the crap that doesn't matter. I want to talk about the games. And I'm like, brother, your lips to my ears. It's what I said to Scruffy here yesterday. And some lady had stopped him in the grocery store to bitch about the fact that the Riders were playing the same time as Country Thunder. And why didn't Country Thunder move? And I was like, thank God, Mitch, you have the patience to talk to those people, because I don't have the patience, so I just walk away. I have that right now. I'd rather talk about the games, too. That's what I blurted out to Mitch. Let's talk about the games. But anyway, here's Kirk bringing up the lack of attendance in the CFL. And what about the Marlins? They don't draw. Nobody's worried about the Marlins, buddy. Okay? But I'm also not worried about the CFL. Like, for instance, Jeff, the Stamps fan, brought up a real good point yesterday, or whatever day it was, about the lack of, it was when I said I don't like all these conglomerates owning all the teams. It's horrific for pro sports in Canada. It's terrible, yet nobody really cares or has noticed. The McMahon Stadium is empty. And if you're okay with that, Jeff, because all the checks are being written and nobody's missing a paycheck, then great. That's your team. It's your town. I think it looks horrible. But, hey, we have sound financial footing. That's what the Miami Marlins have. So I guess if you don't care, why would I care? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. And what I will also say, because I understand people want to talk about it, and it's summertime. We're in season for the CFL. It's a passion league of mine. I mean, I'm a fan. But one thing I will say, because I mentioned it in my commentary this morning, and I only got 90 seconds for that, I have more than enough interest and time for the debate of why that stadium in Regina in Saskatchewan isn't packed when you have the best team in the league. Because I go back to when I was before I was in the media, but I was a fan of the Rough Riders, and I was coming from the rurals. I didn't have a lot of extra money, but whatever money I had, I was spending on the Riders. I was spending it on game tickets. I had one of them green starter hats. I looked like a billboard with big white Rough Riders letters across the top, and I treated that thing like gold because I worked so hard for the money to buy that hat. So any extra money I had, I spent on the team. There are people here that have extra money. They're just electing not to spend it on the team. And the merchandise is overpriced, and up until the ticket deal, the tickets were overpriced. But what I will tell you is, because I come from the country, and I said this on the show yesterday, I'm a member of the country club. I am. The Riders pissed off the rural community going back some years. Within the last 5, 6, 7 years, they pissed them off. And they got long memories. And a lot of them aren't digging into their pockets to come to the games. And don't tell me that I'm wrong or that I have an axe to grind, because I don't. I'm telling you what the truth is. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is. But the Riders angered the rural community, and that's not a really good idea. So that's a very big reason why I think what's going on here. And trust me, I get back to Canada for the summer, and I spend a little time around truckers, and I spend a little time around farmers, and I realize why the price of our groceries are so ridiculously frickin' high. It has nothing to do with the actual cost of the food. But we're not a political show. We're not a news show. We're a sports show. So anyways, that is my monologue on what's going on here, why that stadium isn't sold out, because, by the way, back in the day, 1993, 33,000 and change, packed Taylor Field. I was on Hemorrhoid Hill, probably paid $10 to get in to watch David Archer and the Sacramento Gold Miners, and we were awful. Well, 93, the Riders were actually decent. We were just heading into the dark times. But that was Don Matthews, Ken Austin era, and my guys like Don Narcisse, Aldag and them. So anyways, that's my take on that. By the way, our picks are brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. It's our sports watching headquarters. For the big games, come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Stop in and see Shannon and tell him you saw us talking about him on the RP show. So jumping around here, this is what we do as I get to be the Larry King of sports. Hello. Weston from Terrell, Texas. You're on the air. Hello. Why do I say Weston from Terrell, Texas? Because Weston Walls came up to me this morning, our star, 6'5" righty. And he goes, Rod, we're going to be working out over here this morning. Is the music too loud? And I said, Weston, because you asked, you turn it up as loud as you want. I don't care. I love that kid from the University of Incarnate Word in San Antonio. One of the colleges that he pitched at, Weston Walls. He leads the Western Canadian Baseball League in strikeouts. His dad runs a pecan ranch and a Christmas tree farm in Terrell, Texas. And I love Weston. He had an offer to go play pro ball in the middle of the summer. He's that good. He goes, no, I signed with the Millers. I'm going to finish this out, and we're going to win this whole thing. That's why I love these kids. Anyways, all the topics are on the table here. Scott in Vancouver writes in, he goes, maybe Yzerman didn't want to make the Larkin deal. I would say you're getting warm. I don't know exactly what happened, but something happened. That's what I'm saying. If I was the owner of that team, after what I saw the last game of the year with my own eyes, I was there. I'm sorry, I'd have fired Todd McClellan before they got on the bus and probably fired Steve Yzerman by the time we landed in Detroit. You wait until July 15th after the draft and through free agency? Something happened. And something's rotten in Detroit when you got a team that players don't want to play for. You have a franchise and it's Detroit, an original six franchise. Of course, let's not look at ourselves. Let's just fire somebody. And that's what they did today. Utah Darren writes in, he says, live events are not as valued today as they were 20 to 30 years ago. Maybe. I mean, I'm not willing to say that you're wrong, but I'll say this again. I was out at Country Thunder Sunday with Lainey Wilson, and I don't know what it was. Let's say 30 to 40,000. I never did hear an attendance number. What I know is every single corner of that grandstand was jammed. I have video of it if you want to see it. There was no empty seats. All the luxury tents were full. All the infield was full. The grandstand was full. You can't tell me the economy was an issue for them. And when I saw the price of those Craven passes, I'm like, oh, my God. My point is that there's extra money out there. There's not a lot of extra money out there, but there's a little extra money. And people are far more choosy with how they spend it than what they used to be. And John Ohm says, how did the riders piss off the rural community? I'm curious. I don't want to say. I'm just going to tell you they did. I'm not even sure that they know that they did. But when my cousin is the head of the Saskatchewan Stock Growers Association and he calls me to say, Rod, this happened, and I'm like, what do you want me to do about it, bro? I know for a fact that it happened. But it doesn't really matter. I'll say this again. That place was filled and built with, frankly, rural Saskatchewan because that drives the economy of the province, and they're not going. They're not going. And secondly, you know yourself, John, we all and this is not the Riders' fault, and this isn't really the CFL's fault, but when we grew up, we felt like we knew the players. I was a hockey and baseball guy, 1 and 2. Hockey and baseball was my life. Football wasn't until Jeff Fairholm showed up in my grade 10 class in 1988 and spoke to us, and I'm like, that guy's cool. I'm a Rider fan now, and I was hooked from the moment. So number one, the players aren't doing that. Number two, they switch teams every year. The fans don't feel like they know who the players are. And it's funny because I was sitting with a 90-year-old lady watching the game on television on Sunday, and the folks were like, Dorothy doesn't like Corey Mace. And I'm like, why wouldn't you like Corey Mace? And I don't think she heard me, or at least she didn't answer. But I'm like, if you don't like Corey Mace, then you don't like all that's good in the world. But it is what it is. Corey was doing a lot of community stuff. I don't see them doing that much anymore. Yeah, but John Ohm says, get the players out in the community. They don't want to do that. So that's not really anybody's fault. That's just not the way that it is anymore. And while you don't see Connor McDavid working at Tim Hortons Camp Day, we'll continue this right after the break.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly, we built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show. It's a Wednesday, and I'm having so much fun, and I feel like you guys are too. It's RP Solo in Hour 1, the Larry King of Sports Talk. Hello. Arlen Bruce checking in, two-time Grey Cup champion, NFL and CFL alum. He says, great day, RP. Your show should be on TSN. Landsberg was, and he's not as clever as you are. Anyways, looking forward to seeing my former teammate and leader, number 81, Geroy Simon. What a guy. Yes, Geroy Simon's coming up in Hour 2. And you're right, Michael Landsberg is not as clever as me. And I was on his show off the record. It was one of the most embarrassing professional moments of my life. I had an anxiety blackout. I don't mind saying it. I mean, it wasn't Landsberg's decision to have me on. That was propped up by the CFL. And my first book, the Rough Riders book, had just come out. They wanted to bring me. Landsberg did everything in his power to make me uncomfortable going into that. And I've never forgotten that. And frankly, I've never forgiven him for that either. Like, what do I say here? This is my house. When you come into my house, make yourself comfortable. I'll get you a drink. Take your shoes off. Be respectful, but I'll be respectful of you. That was not the case with Michael Landsberg, and I don't know why. And it was a disaster on Off the Record, but it is what it is. It was not a good memory, but I got some great photos out of it, and here we are. This is, like I say, just so much fun because I get to have far more back and forth with you people. It's fun with Scruffy. It's fun with Kevin the Medium. And Moose is going to be on Friday morning with us from a golf tournament in Guelph with Justin Duncan. That's going to be fun. But I like this too. Eric in Vancouver. Hello. Talking about live sporting events versus watching them on TV at home. He says the late, great Bob Ackles wanted to black out the local market to force fans to the game. That's not an option in 2026. I don't know, and I frankly stay out of that a lot. I was talking to somebody the other day. It used to be a CFL thing, and some NHL markets would black out the games on television within the city or the province in the case of the CFL. And my dear friend, Jim Hobson, was the president of the Riders. He convinced, clearly, the board to lift the blackout province-wide in 2006. I don't know how he did it. I never thought about it till after he died, or I would have asked him, how did you convince the board to allow that to happen? But Jim just had a way of just saying, trust me. And they did it, and we sold out every ticket for the whole season the next year. The attendance every game was 28,800, 28,800, 28,000 from the preseason all the way up to the playoffs. Because Jim saw it as a 3-hour commercial within the province. It worked then. Eric, you make a really good point. This is not 2006. This is literally 20 years later. And I've been thinking a lot about the streaming thing, too. Because I'm like the consumers. I'm a sports fan. If the Home Run Derby was only on streaming the other day or not available in Canada because of Netflix, it just wasn't available, I wouldn't have paid. Because I'm drawing a line somewhere. At home in Florida, I have all the streaming services, so I don't miss anything. But I don't get a lot of MLB down there because you got to pay for it. That's where I'm drawing the line. And I just wonder with the CFL fans, if they don't feel buying the tickets now is worthwhile to go, if you're not giving them a real reason to buy tickets to go, why would they pay for streaming? Maybe they will. The games have been amazing. We all know that. I don't see any TV ratings data. And the attendance is what I see. And when they're not packing the park in Sask, that's scary, especially when the Riders are the best team in the league. John Ohm says that's one of the reasons I love the CFL over the NHL is that the CFL players and management are more approachable. You want to hear a story? I'll tell you one. I was in Arizona. My friend owned the Coyotes. He flew me down to meet with all of his staff because obviously their rink was empty. And I said, you guys got to get the guys out in the community. You got to be doing this with the media, make the media tours. And the guy said, oh, that'll never work. The players don't want to do that. It's not the same here. I knew that he was wrong, but it was his house, i.e. his rink, his office. I'm not going to come in and tell you you're wrong to your face. I flew home, and my friend called me, and he goes, how did it go? I said, you got to fire them all. This is never going to work with the staff you have there right now. And my point on that, because I knew for a fact some players will want to go out into the community. Some players will want to go to the hospital and visit the sick kids because they enjoy it. And in South Florida, the Panthers are everywhere. That's my point. John says, like, you don't see it in Winnipeg. You don't see it in Toronto, largely, unless there's a lot of cameras around and it's a PR opportunity. But in Florida, I would say Aaron Ekblad is somewhere different every day. Tkachuk is a little different in that that's a business marketing shtick. He's being paid to go to businesses and be on billboards and all. Ekblad's doing it. I'm not saying Tkachuk's not a community guy, but I'm saying Ekblad is. He's they named a wing of the Children's Hospital after Alexander Barkov. They named a wing after him. Well, he donated $1 million US, Alexander Barkov, to the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital. So it's not an NHL thing. It's a Canada versus U.S. thing and market-specific thing, because I'll say it again. Some guys do want to do that. Don't tell me they don't. And that's why the Coyotes are it'll never work. Oh, my God, get the hell out of here. Yes, Jeremy, in Winnipeg, we talked about Yzerman being out at the very start of the program. But because you're a Red Wings fan and you've been talking about it forever with us, I will say what my thoughts are. Again, for a third time, just because you just showed up and I like you. I would have fired Todd McClellan before they got to the bus. After the last game of the year, I was there. They lost 8-0 and quit. And then I would have fired Steve Yzerman by the time we landed in Detroit. I would have fired him on the plane if I was the Ilitch family. So why they waited to go through the draft and go through free agency and then fire Steve Yzerman, something happened. And that's just me looking from the outside. Jeremy, you're a Wings fan. You follow them far more closely than me. But that's what I see. 902-518-3033. By the way, the poll question is for Country Thunder. They got country music festivals going on all the way across the land. The next one's in Wisconsin. Check them out at countrythunder.com. The poll question is, what is Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? I got mine, and I've been saying it since Monday. It's the BC Lions at Edmonton. And I'm not even an El Camino's fan. I can't wait for the game. I've been talking to some Edmonton media folk. Morley Scott was on here yesterday. I've been talking to Cam Moon, the radio voice of the Oilers. I've been friends with him for 20-plus years. And I'm like, oh, you must be excited for the game, Cam. He's, oh yeah. He never stopped going. Cam Moon. A West Division collision. BC Lions at Edmonton. That's my vote for the game of the week. Actually, when I checked the poll on Instagram, Montreal at Calgary is leading. And I can't speak for those poor folk. I don't know why that would be. To be honest, I thought that game would be the lowest in the poll. Somebody want to update the poll results? Jason and Red Deer, are you around? Toronto at Hamilton would have been interesting if Bo Levi Mitchell hadn't snapped his ankle. Hamilton is in a lot of trouble. I've been talking that with my football buddies. You want to know why quarterbacks get all the money? There's Exhibit A right there. And it's not just because of talent and experience, man. Jake Dolegala had no help from his receivers or O-line the other night. None at all. Those receivers were, I guess, giving up the ball in the game in Saskatchewan. What are you doing? And then Winnipeg at Ottawa, same story, man. I mean, we all want. I said, I wonder if Ottawa will win a game, and somebody wrote into rodpedersen.com and said, oh, they'll win when they play Hamilton because they're worse. So that's not good. But anyways, that's my vote, BC at Edmonton for the game of the week. I cannot wait, and I'm hoping that I'll be home in time to catch some of that game because I'll be calling baseball. Wayne in BC writes in regarding the games. He says, there's nothing like being at a live sports event / game. You can't get the atmosphere of being at a game when you watch sports on TV. No, but you're sitting out there in Victoria, Wayne. How many games do you go to? Let's be real. Are you shelling out the dough to watch the Lions? Are you shelling out the dough to watch the Canucks? It's fine to say it. Put your money, I'm not just saying you, I'm not calling you out, but anybody, put your money where your mouth is. Yeah, the live events are great. Are you going? Bob in Medicine had his. He writes in, he says, "G'day, Rod. Went to the Riders game against Hamilton. I'm a season ticket holder. Had a great time. Have a great day, Rod." I didn't hear you bitching about the heat, Bob. Oh, my God, that was the one thing. They're going to have to send in the National Guard to save some of these people that were so hot. Oh, my God. How are we doing for time, Producer Corey? I feel like we're going to be breaking soon. I don't want to get into a story and be cut off. That's what I thought. Okay. We'll be right back. Keep them coming, everybody. It's fun today. 902-518-3033, the YouTube chat. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's a Wednesday. That means it's just me solo in hour one. And here's one for you. Geroy Simon coming up in hour two. He is currently the general manager of the Maryland Terrapins, big-time college football. That's what I want to talk to him about the most. But we'll get to his Hall of Fame CFL career, his 2 Grey Cups as well. Geroy wants to get on now. I'm like, Geroy, we can't. I appreciate you. But 1:15 p.m. Eastern, as I said, we're for our own reasons, that's the time slot. So that's going to be great. Geroy can't wait to get on. He's such a great guy. For those that showed up late, Brenton, Wellington, Florida, the quick 6 show topics are these. Number 1, including the breaking news. Steve Yzerman is out as general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. This ain't the Red Wings show. I can sit here for 3 hours and talk about it, but I've already explained 3 times my thoughts on it. Something happened in Detroit. Something has happened, clearly, why Yzerman is out as general manager. If you want to get more of my thoughts, rewind. Point 2, the All-Star Game last night. American League blanking the NL 4-0. Dylan Cease fan retired the side in the first inning. Hell of a story there. He's the first Toronto Blue Jay to start for the AL since Roy Halladay in 2009. Point 2, CFL, the players of the week. We talked about the games of the week. And then, actually, I didn't get into this, but I will more next hour when we go to air in Nevada, was MLB labor. And I want to talk about it then, not here. Do you really care about Major League Baseball's labor problems? Because I'll tell you right now, I do not. And I think they are so many people in 94, when the Expos got screwed because of the work stoppage, stopped following baseball, and they've never come back. And I wonder, and I really wonder, if MLB realizes what they're flirting with here right now. It's in this story that I'll read next hour. I don't want to do it here. Because of what Brent said. Point 4, I'll read the official release. The National Hockey League announced the home openers for all 32 teams today as part of its reveal of the new 84-game schedule of 2026-27. The Toronto Maple Leafs will host the Montreal Canadiens on the opening night of the season, Tuesday, September 29th, with the Edmonton Oilers playing later in the evening against the Vancouver Canucks. The defending champion Carolina Hurricanes will face the Florida Panthers in the opening game of the season to kick off the September 29th slate. Also that night, the Vegas Golden Knights will welcome the Chicago Blackhawks and Connor Bedard. The Cats home opener is October 10th versus Minnesota. Tampa Bay Lightning home opener is against Washington on October 3rd. So let me just say this. Of all those home openers, the most juicy to me is Vegas, home to Connor Bedard. Sorry. And here's one for Brent, since you're tuned in from Wellington, Florida, and he hosts the Cats and Bolts podcast with me. I wonder if the Panthers aren't going to be the it team anymore. They had a really good run as the it team from 2013 to 2025. That's 3-season run in a big league of 32 teams of being the it team. What I mean by that is everywhere you looked in this continent, it was the Florida Panthers. Kachuk was everywhere. In South Florida, it's still that way, but it's not NHL-wide. You don't see Kachuk in the NHL ads anymore. And now the Panthers are opening on the road. The Anaheim Ducks' first game is October the 3rd, I believe, against Florida. Panthers are opening in Carolina, then they're going all the way to the West Coast, and they don't come home until October 10th against Minnesota. That's a pretty crappy schedule in my mind. The last 2 home openers, let's just go back to last year, was October the 7th, Chicago Blackhawks at Florida. ESPN, national television, Connor Bedard versus Sergei Bobrovsky. Well, Panthers won 3-0, but I'm just saying, are they no longer the it team? Because I get the sense that right now they're not. It wouldn't take long to be the it team again, but they're going to have to make the playoffs. Alexander Barkov's going to have to be back to 100%. And Brady Kachuk's going to have to do something. Wilf is watching in Steinbach, Manitoba. He says there are rumors here. Oh, hang on. Wilf says deep issues in Detroit. The captain is all but gone. No recent top 6 additions that I know of. I'll say it again because and I did not say this today, but I have said it on this show in the past. Watching that game, because I don't follow Detroit, but I'm just looking at their roster. Your goalies are John Gibson and Cam Talbot. You might as well have Johnny Bauer in. I'm just saying, old. Mike Van Riemsdyk, I didn't know he was even in the league. Patrick Kane is a shadow of himself. They're old. They're worn out. And Will said it. There's something wrong there. And I don't think Stevie Y is the problem, but he's clearly getting scapegoated for it. But you still have a job. A la Kevin Lowe in Edmonton. Kirk in Toronto writes in, hey, Rod, there are rumors here. All you people from the GTA, can you weigh in on this? Because I'll tell you where I'm at with what I'm about to read. Kirk says there are rumors here in the Big Smoke that Rogers might divest some of their pro sports teams, and the Argonauts will be one of those teams. Leafs, Blue Jays, and Raptors are all they want to keep. Oh, like shedding the barnacles on the bottom of the bone, huh? Let's get rid of Toronto FC. Let's get rid of the Marlins. I don't care. I don't care. What I can tell you, because I just don't live there, and I get where you're, like, I get that it's a big deal to you, but I can't care about everything. And there's enough media there hanging on their every word. Ask them what they think about it. If they want to sell the Argos, I'll give you 10 guys that want to buy them. Easily. They could do that. Probably would be the best thing for them, to be honest. Big rumor, they're going to build a new stadium out by Woodbine. That's the rumor. As part of the racetrack. So where there's smoke, there's fire, but the fact that Rogers wants to own the Leafs, Raptors, and Blue Jays all together, similar to MSG and what they're doing there with the Rangers and the Knicks and whoever else they own. I mean, the Knicks just won, so it's not about winning. To me, like when Calgary was doing it, when the Flames bought the Stamps, I hated it. And it wasn't for the reasons that the Stamps got shuffled aside and they don't get marketed in that town. And they get treated like the stepchild nobody cares about. It's the staff. Because I've had staff that were working for the hockey team, and they're like, well, we're going to move you over to the football team. Yeah, but I don't want to do that. Do it or you're fired. And he got fired. That's what I didn't like. That's what I saw coming before it happened. That's what did happen. That's what's still happening. Monopolies are horrible, but it seems to be a Canadian thing. Are the Panthers the it team? Will they be? Brent says after the first Tampa game, they will be. I love the fact that in Florida, and it's not just Brent, they're already talking about the Battle of Florida games and what wars they're going to be. You people only see it on the highlights because you're not thinking about it every day. But every time Tampa Bay and Florida gets together, it's 10 guys in the penalty box, 5 aside. It's a brawl fest, and that's what they're talking about in Florida today. I don't know if they're talking about – well, I know that they're not talking about that in the Battle of Alberta rivalry because it's not a rivalry. I will say this, as I was out for my walk, and I'm going all squirrel on you now, but I feel I get a sick sense that you like that. Ryan Huska is the best man for the job in Calgary, and so is Craig Conroy. If they can't turn that thing into a winner and fix the culture, literally nobody can. And I said this after Mike Babcock got fired in Toronto with the Leafs. I said, if he can't win there, nobody can. Quick, who's the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs today? Can you tell me? I know, but it's been a revolving door since Babs left. Like all of a sudden, somebody write in, please, who the coach of the Leafs is. Let's see how long it takes you. No identity, no culture. Hello. Brent from the Bridge City writes in and says, yeah, Lions, Elkamos, game of the week. It's interesting when the Riders don't play, when they're on a bye, the poll results are far more accurate. Friday Night Football, game of the week, says RP Show viewers, Lions at the Elkamos. And I'm not even an Elkamo fan. I'd be happy. I just hope they all have fun. No, I'm joking. I think this is going to be a great game. Oh, Alouettes, Stampeders, 21%. Argos, Ticats, 18%. Bombers, Ottawa, 6%. That's the one thing about Ottawa, man. I do feel real bad for the football fans in that town because it's such a great football city. My mom used to say when they got the expansion team for the third time or the Red Blacks showed up, she's like, why are they getting a team again? They've shown they can't support a team. I'm like, Mom, it's not the fans' fault. It's like hockey fans in Arizona getting let down. They've had terrible teams. Now they have a terrible team again. And Ottawa's getting a bad rap. If you've been there to Ottawa, it's a fantastic football town. Russ Jackson. Obviously, Tony Gabriel. Ken in Mississauga writes and he says, if you know 10 people who would buy the Argos and a potential new stadium at Woodbine, that is a hot take. Bro, I only report 2% of what I know, and it used to be 5%, but I say far less now simply because things change. I've been right. The Flames had a buyer for the Calgary Stampeders, and I reported that, and the Flames backed out last minute. That was when I was living in Calgary, and the Flames were so mad. You want to hear something? The Flames called Fan 960 to bitch about me. Fan 960 said, we'll give you his number if you want to call him and ask. Oh, no, that's okay. That's how the teams operate. It's like the Oilers sending a threatening email to Mike Commodore. If you got a problem, call me. But then the deal was off, and all of a sudden I look like an idiot. My info was similar to the Bruce Cassidy going to the Oilers. He was going. And if Daryl Cates wasn't the way that he is, they'd have had Bruce Cassidy. But he couldn't. It's funny. I don't think they're going to win a Stanley Cup with Babcock, but I'm laughing, and I swear Kelly McCrimmon's laughing even harder. Maybe they taught him in his MBA, his Master's of Business Administration, Kelly McCrimmon from the U of R. Wait long enough. Just wait in business, and your competitor will implode. And that's what happened, I believe, with the Oilers and Daryl Cates. Screw you. You're going to sit on Cassidy? I'll go hire Mike Babcock. I don't care that everybody hates him, and we're going to have to go on an apology tour. I didn't want to say a whole lot more when Morley Scott was talking yesterday. We'll continue this in hour 2.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Hot diggity. We got a great show for you today. I got one of my oldest friends in the sports industry joining me. I could sit in this whole opening segment and talk about Geroy Simon, the current general manager of the Maryland Terrapins big-time college football program out of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. He is also a two-time Grey Cup champion of the Canadian Football League and the Canadian Football Hall of Famer. He is a guy, I'll be honest with you, we have a lot to get to here, so I'll make this quick, but there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. And Geroy Simon, when he comes up in the next segment, he has said, I've seen his keynote speeches, he says, I believed as a player that I was the greatest receiver on the planet. But you know what? He wasn't a jerk. He had to believe that. And for a period of time, he was the king of receiving historically in the Canadian Football League. I believe he's been surpassed now. And then he's moved down to this new role. And that's what I am the most excited to talk to him about, is being the general manager of a big-time U.S. college football program like the Maryland Terrapins. What does that even entail? And he's taken time out of his day in Maryland to join us coming up in the next segment. Geroy Simon, a great of the BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, where he won Grey Cups with both teams. He's coming up today. Thank you, Geroy, for joining us. And I love his confidence. He's a great guy. We can all learn a lot from Geroy Simon. He's coming up next. Okay, it's a big day. In that, we have a lot to get to. The warm-up is brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. There aren't many probably in Nevada talking about this today as we welcome our viewers across the Silver State on Silver State Sports. And in Vegas, two things. There was breaking news out of the National Hockey League Wednesday morning. The Detroit Red Wings have announced, I don't know how they're announcing it. They've basically fired Steve Yzerman as general manager, but elevated him to the role of senior advisor with the Detroit Red Wings. So whatever that is, the viewers have been writing in. We've been having fun on this because we've been on the air already for an hour on Game Plus streaming and WQVZ radio across the U.S. South, where there's a heck of a lot of hockey fans there. And everybody's saying, it's odd timing, isn't it, on July 15th that you would fire your general manager? Now, every team does it different. There's more than one way to skin a cat, but I think we would. And I was thinking of getting Lou Gamelin on this week. We'll have to bring him on next week. Lou Gamelin from the 12-Ounce Sports Network in Michigan, because he's all over this, and he's a big-time Red Wings fan. But we all can see something's rotten with the Red Wings, and they're just pointing the finger at Steve Yzerman. I think we can all agree, as Canadian hockey fans, Steve Yzerman ain't rotten. That man is a champion, a Olympic gold medalist, Stanley Cup champion. He's all that. Steve Yzerman ain't the problem. But there is a problem in Detroit. And as of today, they're looking for a new general manager. And my point is, something happened that they would wait this long and then make the decision today. The last game of the year, they lost 8-0 in Sunrise. I was there. I've never seen a team quit more than I saw that night. And I would have fired Todd McClellan, the head coach, before they got to the bus. Todd probably wouldn't say he's a friend of mine after saying that, but I've known Todd for many years. That team quit that night. And then I would have fired Steve Yzerman by the end of the week. You wait until July. And Todd's still there. Not as of now. But you go through the draft, you go through free agency, and then you fire Steve Yzerman. And you got a disgruntled captain who wants out in Dylan Larkin. It's really bad in Detroit. So that's the story. That's the breaking news. And then the other thing, on a more happy occasion, the National Hockey League announced Wednesday morning the home openers for all 32 teams as part of the reveal of the new 84-game schedule of the upcoming season. And I love this. It has a real NFL scent to it, doesn't it? We're going to announce the Wednesday nighter this year in the NFL. And then we're going to announce the first Thursday night game. And then we're going to announce the World Games in Brazil and Ireland and before they just drop the whole schedule on you. I love it. The Toronto Maple Leafs will host the Montreal Canadiens on the opening night of the season, Tuesday, September 29th. I'll tell you right now, Habs will win. Oh, nobody wrote in. I was saying last hour, can you please tell me who the head coach is of the Toronto Maple Leafs? Nobody can name it. It's Jim Hiller. We're talking about dysfunctional teams. That's how we got on the topic. The Edmonton Oilers, right on time, playing later that night against the Vancouver Canucks. The defending Stanley Cup champion Carolina Hurricanes will face the Florida Panthers in the opening game of the season to kick off the September 29th slate. That's the opening night for the whole league. That very same night, the Vegas Golden Knights, yoo-hoo, will host the Chicago Blackhawks. To me, out of all these games, that's the marquee game. Anytime you got Connor Bedard, anytime you got the Golden Knights, that is rarefied air. Florida Panthers home opener is October 10th versus Minnesota, and the Tampa Bay Lightning host Washington on October the 3rd. So the reason I bring up the Florida teams is by the time they're playing, I'll be back home in Florida and chasing those teams around. But the game of it all is Vegas-Chicago as far as I'm concerned. So all of you, get your tickets that are watching on Silver State Sports when they go on sale. Okay, the other point, and I know it seems like old news now, but it's exciting to me, and I loved the old names. I'm talking. Point 2 is MLB All-Star. Dylan Cease started a parade of pitchers that shut down a slew of baseball's best batters in a display that pitching dominance still rules baseball. Dylan Cease of the Blue Jays struck out the side in the first inning, combining with 10 relievers on a 3-hitter that led the American League over the National League 4-0 in the All-Star Game in Philadelphia. Cease fan Kyle Schwarber, Juan Soto, and C.J. Abrams around a walk in the first inning when he got 6 misses among 15 swings. He became just the 7th pitcher. Now listen up. This should get you, I hope, right in the feels like it did me. He became the 7th pitcher to strike out 3 in an All-Star opening inning after Carl Hubble did it in 1934, Warren Spahn in 1949, Jim Palmer in 1979. I believe I had his baseball card that season. Dave Stieb in 1983. I know I had his baseball card that season. Pedro Martinez in 1999 and Brad Penny in 2006. 4 of those guys are Hall of Famers. So if you like defensive baseball, that's what they had in the All-Star Game last night. Tonight is one more night off, and then they get back at action on Thursday. But I will say this, clearly, I was talking to Moose this morning, and he's just like, I don't even need to ask you. He goes, I see that you were loving the baseball so much. And I said, what's not to love? Give you a little example. Number 1, our Moose Jaw Miller Express, we spanked Fort McMurray 18-3 last night. And I didn't even know. I don't believe we have a mercy rule in the league. It's college ball. But after the 8th inning, the announcer, James Gallo, came on the mic and goes, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the game. You can all go home. We'll see you back here tomorrow night, 7:05, Giants and Millers. Please drive home and say, I'm like, what? I guess the coach of the Giants is like, we're out, 18-3. We're going to save some arms. We'll try again tomorrow. That was one thing that I didn't expect. But the first was, I'm there an hour before the game. That's another thing I love about baseball. I get there an hour before, which seems late. That's before some of the players. And anyways, this guy comes bouncing up the stairs to the press box. Pete from Arizona. Hi, Pete. Who are you here watching? I'm not. It's my 528th pro or college ballpark. In my lifetime, I'm making a tour across Western Canada this summer, going to all these ballparks. We got a photo with Pete from Arizona. His real name's Randy Peters, but just call me Pete from Arizona. And we had a great time. He's like, what's special about this ballpark? I said, well, we've been playing ball here for over 100 years, and if you look out in the outfield, those poplars, everybody loves those. He's like, oh. The outfield is all enclosed by 5-story high poplars. It's just like the greatest way to spend the summer. It kind of annoys me a little bit that 3 seasons now I'm doing it, and people are now just now saying, oh, now we see why you love it so much. I was telling you that for 3 years. It's like when Rich Sutter came down to visit me in Florida for the NHL All-Star Game in 93. We're driving around Fort Lauderdale. He's like, oh, all this and NHL hockey. I see why you love it. Yeah. Just take my word for it. It's amazing. Anyways, point 1 really is the breaking news from the National Hockey League. Point 2 really is the MLB All-Star Game and my little stories from the WCBL last night. I will ask you to score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join CFL legends Adam Bighill, Willie Jefferson, and Jake Ceresna on a cruise of a lifetime. 7-day cruise out of Fort Lauderdale, February 20th. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel, Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. Point 3 is MLB. So this is what I wanted to get into. Like, Vegas is going to be an MLB town before long. The head of baseball's players union chastised management on Tuesday for its advertising campaign in support of a salary cap, while Commissioner Rob Manfred maintained the proposal was developed in response to fans. Bruce Meyer, who took over when Tony Clark was forced out in February, said the sport was thriving despite assertions by MLB that massive change is needed. Attendance has averaged 29,230 fans per game this season. That's up 1.2% from last year, and MLB is on pace for its highest attendance since 2017. The point is, the owners are trying to tell you they're not making money. Management in May proposed a salary cap system, which players say they will never accept. MLB launched a Level the Field campaign, claiming fans support a cap that contains a floor. Can I just ask you this, and I'm not going to spend any more money on this today. Time on this today, even though time is money. Do you care? I don't really care. And you see this all the time in labor negotiations, not just in sports. Where I come from, all the time, when they couldn't solve it behind closed doors, they went to the media with it. None of us ever cared. And I think that MLB is really flirting with danger here, because this is not 1994. MLB lost so many fans with a work stoppage back then. When our Expos got job, we were on the way, had the best record in baseball. Season gets called because of a work stoppage, and a lot of people never, ever went back. And I feel like they're threatening with that, but they're not dumb people. Do you not see this? I'm not as interested. I mean, the only reason I'm as interested in it now is because I'm working in it, collecting a paycheck in the industry of baseball, and it's an unbelievable industry. But for Joe Fan, I feel like there's a lot of other things to spend your money on, devote your attention to, especially now in the streaming environment. Yeah. By the way, because it's Wednesday and there is no other football going on other than arena football. Yes, shout out to the Vegas Nighthawks and our guy Mike Davis. Yes, 1:11 Eastern. I got you, Carlos. I got you. Hang on, I got hung up here on the viewer comments. I shouldn't have done that. Hang on, Ken from Mississauga. I might have to come back on that. Anyways, the poll question, we do it every Wednesday, is for Country Thunder till the end of the month when their country festivals are done for the summer. What is Canada's game of the week? Oh, you're right, David. Number 2, that's right. Bedard won't be in the lineup for Chicago because he got hurt. My bad. Forgot. Too many things running through my old cranium here, including what's Canada's game of the week. In the Canadian Football League, it's for Country Thunder. Biggest party this summer is coming to Wisconsin. Get your tickets at countrythunder.com. Leading the poll, it's the BC Lions, Geroy's former team, our guest who's coming into the next segment. The general manager of the Maryland Terrapins football program, 2-time Grey Cup champion. The BC Lions at the Edmonton Elks. That's got my vote. Saturday, Montreal at Calgary. Rematch of last week's game where the Alouettes motorboated the Stampeders in La Belle Province. It's actually a Saturday doubleheader. That's the early game, Montreal at Calgary. Then Toronto at Hamilton. And then Sunday, Winnipeg at Ottawa, which unfortunately already in Week 7 is denigrated into a friends and family game. Only friends and family seem to care. That's only got 8% of the vote. Wayne in BC writes in, he says, I'm absolutely stoked to see Geroy Simon on the RP show today. I'll tell you a little story about Geroy. I don't want to waste the time with it when he's on with me, but when he left after 2013 season in Sask, it's the way football is. He texted me and said, I don't know if I'm going to see you again. I don't know if I'm going to be back playing again, because I just want to tell you how much I appreciate all you do for the football team. You do so many things that people don't even see. I want to tell you that I see them, and it's been a pleasure working with you. This guy that's coming up next year, I didn't even respond to it for like a year because I thought it was a form letter. Oh, he's just texting that to everybody. Then I ran into him at Grey Cup. He's like, did you get my text? Yeah. That was just for you, you know. Oh. Well, thanks, Geroy. And then I reminded him of that at the Grey Cup in Vancouver a couple of years ago, how much it meant to me. Special guy. Geroy Simon coming in next. We should mention the World Cup, although I've kind of had my fill of it. 0.4 or 5, whatever it is. Spain's defensive prowess and swagger were just too much for an attacking trio led by France great Kylian Mbappe, and just enough to get the 2010 champions into another World Cup final. The Spanish team managed a record 6 shutout in 7 games so far, winning 2-0 in the semifinals Tuesday against one of the most prolific scorers in World Cup history. Spain will face either defending champion Argentina or England on Sunday in East Rutherford, New Jersey, across the river from New York. After trying to become only the 3rd team to reach 3 consecutive World Finals, France instead now will play in the 3rd place game in Miami Gardens, Florida on Saturday. That's like the bronze medal game. Okay. So, yeah, we all know since Canada and the U.S. bowed out, my interest level's gone kaputski, but I'm still following it because some of you people have said that you are following it. Geroy Simon in next. Our guest segment's brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, barn, rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca or give them a call, 306-985-0050. Get your questions and comments in for the great Geroy Simon. 902-518-3033 is the text line for Western Dodge. And we'll be right back with Geroy after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs guy through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right. We have so many people so fired up to hear from Geroy Simon. We got a million questions and comments have come in. Canadian Football Hall of Famer, two-time Grey Cup champion, general manager, Maryland Terrapins, his alma mater. Hey, and one of my favorite guys in the game. He knows this. Geroy, how are you, my guy?
I'm great. How's it going?
Good. It's just a pleasure to talk to you. And we're going to go down memory lane here, but I said I want to start with your job now. Carlos is watching in Indiana. He writes in with what I want to say. He says, when I first heard about a general manager in college football, I got confused thinking athletic directors served that role. Can we start there with what you're doing now? I just find it fascinating.
Yeah, so my official title is Executive Director of Revenue Share Management and General Manager. So I'm essentially the General Manager for the athletic department. And I manage the salary cap for, and essentially I'm responsible for all the cap for all the university teams. But my main focus is football, basketball, women's